tryna find my style. And they been tryna bring me down, but ain't no going down. And I've been standing right here chillin' with my crown, tryna figure out why they always count me out. So I count the bands, I know they won't count me out. Tryna find a route to make sure all these commas pal. So go ahead and tell me how you think I'm supposed to sound, cause I've been broke, move around, I've been tryna.
Some birthday parties end with confetti, laughter, and warm wishes. But others end with screams, stray bullets, and blood spreading across cold concrete. That was the first thing I heard from someone who had been at the scene that morning. A birthday party in Kansas City, ordinary, or at least, it was supposed to be. A house where the music had stopped and the lights had gone out, yet the echoes never left the minds of those who survived. 3 lives were lost forever. 6 others would never be the same. And the one who made it all happen, no one saw him coming. When this story first began, I thought I was just recounting another shooting. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized this wasn't just a sudden tragedy. It was the result of warnings ignored, of relationships that never truly ended, of a justice system far too comfortable letting dangerous people back onto the streets, as if someone's survival was just a footnote. Our main victim was a young, beautiful woman, slowly piecing her life back together after a breakup. A devoted mother of 2, a loving daughter, a hard-working employee. She had no enemies, no debts, no reckless habits. All she wanted was to celebrate her birthday with friends, with music, and with lights. But in the shadows behind that party, someone didn't come to celebrate, they came to end it. And they weren't alone. So what really happened inside that room? Why did a birthday turn into a nightmare? Who was the one she feared the most? And did anyone hear her final, silent cry for help? If you're ready, pour yourself a hot cup of tea, or maybe a black coffee. No sugar, because today's story is colder than you think. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so we can uncover more chilling, heartbreaking stories together, and leave a comment to let me know where you're watching from. Because sometimes, tragedies like this are quietly unfolding all around us, and no one's paying attention. Jassity Strong, or Jass, as her friends lovingly called her, was the kind of woman anyone would be lucky to have in their life. At 28, she was a devoted mother to 2 growing children and worked full-time at a private medical care center. Her life wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. She didn't go clubbing, didn't seek attention on social media, yet she always shone in everyday snapshots. A cup of latte, 2 kids, and a smile. That was her world. A few months before the incident, Jassity had ended a long-term relationship with a man named Marcus, someone her family often spoke of with uneasy glances. No one ever outright called him a bad man, but no one ever called him a good one, either. They had once lived together, shared the responsibilities of raising their kids, but also endured more than a few explosive arguments. And then no one knew exactly when Jassity quietly moved out of their shared apartment. No warnings, no public breakup. She simply slipped out of Marcus's control and began again. According to her friends, Marcus was the jealous type. He wasn't loud or aggressive, but quietly controlling. There was a time he went through every message on Jassity's phone while she was asleep. Another time, he pressured her into deleting a photo she had taken with a male co-worker. Things like that weren't dramatic enough to call the police over, but they were enough to make Jassity slowly realize she was living in a relationship that made her shrink, piece by piece. After the breakup, Jassity never spoke ill of Marcus. She only posted a single status: "Love is meant to set you free, not hold you down." Then, she started smiling more in photos, wearing brighter dresses, spending more time with her children, and making plans to return to school for advanced nursing. As her birthday approached, everyone celebrated the positive changes in her life. Her mother offered the garage behind the auto shop, a place once used for casual get-togethers with friends, music, and food. It was meant to be a simple evening, just a few dozen people, nothing extravagant. Jassity only wanted to welcome her new age with laughter. Marcus wasn't on the guest list, but when the incident happened, many began to wonder, had he ever truly let go? One of her closest friends once said, "I never saw him threaten her, but I also never saw him really leave." And in a case where the perpetrator vanished as if he never existed, sometimes it's the people from the past, the ones we thought were gone, who haunt the longest. If there's one thing that haunted Jacity's loved ones long after, it wasn't the moment the gunshots rang out. It was the signs they'd seen, the comments, the social media posts, the uneasy glances, but none of it ever seemed loud enough to make anyone believe that something terrible was coming. In the weeks leading up to her birthday, Jacity began posting statuses that were more cryptic than usual. No tags, no names, but her words were loaded with meaning. Don't pretend it's love when all you want is control. Another time. The scariest thing isn't a breakup, it's the person who refuses to accept they've been left. A few friends noticed. Some even messaged her to check in, but Jacity would usually reply with a quiet, "I'm okay, just writing for myself." After the breakup, Jacity still allowed Marcus to visit the kids, but only in public places, and always with someone accompanying her. One day, she called her mother, nearly in tears. "He showed up at my job again. Just stood in the parking lot, watching me. He didn't say anything. She said she'd talk to him, set some boundaries, and then hung up. But Marcus wasn't the only one raising eyebrows. Just a week before the party, a heated argument broke out in a group chat shared among old friends. The tension flared between two men who had a history of bad blood. One had previously been banned from Club Mama's house, the nickname for Jacity's family garage, where gatherings were often held after starting a fight. The other was the ex-boyfriend of one of Jacity's closest friends, someone rumored to still harbor resentment after being iced out by the group.
Move around, I've been trying to move around, trying to find my style. And they been trying to bring me down, but ain't no going down. And I've been standing right here, chilling with my crown, trying to figure out why they always count me out. So I count the bands, I know.
One of them even posted a story that read, "Y'all live fake online lives, but in real life, nobody's gonna protect you. No tags, no names." But someone took a screenshot and dropped it into Jacity's close friends group chat with a chilling question attached. "Who do you think he's talking about?" No one knew for sure. No one said a word. And still, the party went on. Later, when investigators reviewed every single post, they flagged several accounts as persons of interest. But back then, no one read those words like alarms. They were just phrases, lost in the endless scroll until blood stained the floor. None of Jacity's friends could have imagined that her birthday party would become a collision point for so many ticking time bombs. It was supposed to be a joyful night, a quiet, intimate gathering where she could smile, raise a glass, and feel the love of those closest to her. But even days before the event, something in the air had already shifted, quietly, heavily, and with a creeping sense of unease. Marcus, the ex-boyfriend with whom she shared a young child, was said to have texted her, asking if he was invited. Jacity never replied. On Marcus's Facebook page, people noticed a string of cryptic posts. Some folks think they've escaped the storm, but forget who made the weather. Then came a short video clip. He filmed himself standing in front of his car, dim headlights casting shadows across his expressionless face. Somebody's about to get a surprise birthday gift. Jacity's friends saw that video. Some even sent it to her privately, but she brushed it off, replying, "He's always like that after a breakup. Probably just wants attention." But what unsettled her friends even more was the fact that Marcus wasn't the only one making veiled threats. One former acquaintance, someone who had been blacklisted from the party circle after a physical altercation last year, suddenly posted a photo of a handgun. The caption was chilling, "I don't forget." This individual had once shared a murky, on-and-off relationship with one of Jacity's close friends. But after a falling out, he'd been banned from all family gatherings. And then, in the group chat, someone received an anonymous message. "Don't go to that party. Someone wasn't invited, but they're coming anyway." The message came from a burner account. No profile picture, no name. When they told Jacity, she frowned, paused for a few seconds, then replied, "There's always someone jealous every year. Ignore it. It's my birthday we're celebrating, not worrying." The night before the party, Jacity was still posting stories. A short selfie video, holding a glass of wine, her hair curled, the caption reading, "This year, I'm living for me." Behind her, decorative lights blinked gently, and soft music played from a Bluetooth speaker. But while she was preparing her dress, her shoes, and the guest list, somewhere out there, someone else was preparing something very different. Not a gift, not a cake, but a gun, loaded and ready. A surveillance camera outside the garage, the place where the party was held, captured footage of a man lingering in the area starting around 6 p.m. He wore a hoodie, hands buried in his pockets, eyes tracking every car that pulled in. And as night fell, and the first footsteps entered the garage bringing with them laughter and birthday wishes, the countdown had already begun. That night, the garage was packed. String lights hung from the ceiling, casting a warm, almost romantic glow, though the heavy bass from the Bluetooth speakers gave the space a pulsing energy. Chastity entered like a queen-fitted dress, soft curls, eyes shining with confidence, laced with a hint of caution. She hugged each friend, took the birthday cake from a loved one's hands, and raised her glass as voices filled the room. Happy birthday to you.
Move around, I've been trying to move around, trying to find my style. And they been trying to bring me down, but ain't no going down. And I've been standing right here, chilling with my crown, trying to figure out why they...
No one noticed anything unusual at first. A few guests did spot a strange man lingering at the far end of the garage, standing near the side entrance where the lighting was dimmer. But the crowd was thick, the music was loud, and no one really paid attention. A few minutes later, the sound of an engine echoed outside. A silver car pulled up and parked about 2 houses down from the garage. The doors stayed shut. The lights were off. Whoever was inside wasn't arriving, they were watching. At exactly 10:27 p.m., Chastity stepped outside to greet another guest. It was Camden Brown, a close friend from high school who had also appeared in a few of her recent stories. They hugged tightly, laughed out loud, and stood chatting by the fence, completely unaware that they were being watched. At that exact moment, a neighbor's security camera captured footage of a man stepping out of the silver car. Black hoodie, jeans, a baseball cap pulled low. His left hand tucked into his pocket, his right hand gripping tightly onto a gun hidden beneath his jacket. As he approached the fence, the man paused for a few seconds. Then, as if prompted by some unseen signal, he walked directly toward Chastity and Camden. At first they didn't recognize him, but then Chastity's eyes froze. Her lips moved just enough to whisper, "Marcus," moments before the gunfire erupted. The first shot hit Camden in the shoulder. He collapsed instantly. Chastity screamed and turned to run, but before she could make it back to the garage, 3 more shots rang out. One struck her in the back, another tore through her leg, and the final bullet fatal pierced straight into her left chest. The music inside came to an abrupt halt. People poured out into the alley. Screams, shouts for help. The frantic stomp of feet echoed through the street. The shooter turned and bolted toward the silver car. But he didn't make it. A neighbor himself, a retired police officer, had been standing on his balcony, already sensing something wasn't right. The moment the shooting began, he jumped into action. Firing up his own car, he swerved to block the silver vehicle just as it tried to speed off. The suspect jumped out, attempting to flee on foot, but only minutes later, 2 patrolling officers already nearby intercepted him. Pinned to the ground, arms behind his back, he was finally in custody. At the scene, everything was shattered. Chastity lay on the ground, her white dress soaked in blood, her hand still clutching the phone that had fallen when she tried to run. Beside her was Camden, wounded, yet still trying to crawl over and cradle her head. Tears mixed with the sound of ambulance sirens. By the time paramedics arrived, Chastity was unresponsive. Camden was rushed to the hospital and survived, but with permanent damage to his right shoulder. The man taken into custody was Kevon Green, 26 years old. Not Marcus, the ex-boyfriend everyone suspected, not the one who had made threats online, not someone familiar, but a man with a violent criminal record, known for live-streaming dangerous stunts, and not even on the guest list. Why was he there? What connection did he have to Chastity? Did he act alone, or was someone else behind it all? The answer, as police would later uncover, lay hidden in a deleted message thread, a seemingly minor Facebook interaction, and one irreversible mistake. When police arrived at the scene, chaos had already taken hold. The birthday garage had turned into a crime scene, yellow tape sealing off the street, where laughter once echoed. Everyone present was held back for questioning, each face stunned, every pair of eyes wide with disbelief. No one could grasp that death had crept in just a few steps away. Chastity Strong, 28, was pronounced dead at the scene. She had been shot multiple times at point-blank range, wounds so severe there was no chance of survival. Her friend, Camden Brown, survived, but was rushed to the hospital with a gunshot wound through his shoulder and severe blood loss. The suspect, Kavon Green, was arrested just a few blocks from the scene after a brief pursuit. What struck everyone as strange was his silence. He didn't resist. He didn't shout. He didn't say a word. When the handcuffs were placed on him, he simply looked down at the ground, then turned his head back toward the crowd, where Chastity had fallen. Police immediately ran his records, and what they uncovered sent a chill down the spine. Kavon had a history: violence, threats, even live streams of reckless, disturbing behavior. But somehow, he had never faced serious convictions. On his personal Facebook page, just days before the shooting, one cryptic post stood out. "I promise, y'all gonna remember my name." The victim's family was completely shattered. Chastity's mother collapsed that very night. Her father had to be hospitalized due to a spike in blood pressure, and her two young children, who never got the chance to say happy birthday to their mom, now must grow up without the familiar warmth of her embrace. On social media, tribute posts spread like wildfire. Photos of Chastity flooded timelines, all bearing the same hashtag, #Justice for Chastity. Friends, co-workers, and loved ones spoke out one after another. They weren't just mourning. They were furious. Why was someone as dangerous as Kavon still walking free? Why didn't anyone catch the warning signs before it was too late? Some began to wonder, did Kavon act out of personal revenge? Or was someone else pulling the strings? Could there be a shadowy figure connected to Chastity's past relationships who indirectly set this tragedy in motion? Then, an unexpected clue surfaced. A deleted message, recovered from the killer's phone. The clue recovered from Kavon Green's phone changed the course of the investigation. Buried deep within what seemed like a wiped device, forensic analysts uncovered a hidden message thread between Kavon and a user going by the alias Truth Dealer 88. The contents of that exchange raised chilling suspicions. Kavon may not have acted entirely alone. Someone may have enabled him, or at the very least, pushed him through hateful, inflammatory messages. "She's playing games. If I were you, I would have shut her up a long time ago." That single line pulled the entire case into a darker, more complex direction. That single message became the key that unlocked a deeper investigation. Detectives traced the IP address behind the Truth Dealer 88 account and made a chilling discovery. It belonged to a man who once had a romantic relationship with Chastity, someone she had accused of abuse and even filed for a restraining order against in the past. But despite the disturbing context and tone of the messages, there wasn't enough concrete evidence to prove that he had directly conspired in the murder. Authorities could only summon him for questioning, unable for now to press any criminal charges. At the trial, Kavon Green remained cold and expressionless. He offered no apology, no explanation, and refused to speak about his motive. His defense attorney attempted to present his mental health issues and a history of abuse as mitigating factors, but the prosecution was unwavering. They laid out a clear case. This was a deliberate act, premeditated, armed, and executed at the moment, with the most witnesses underscoring the extreme danger and calculated nature of the defendant's actions. The jury took less than 3 hours to reach a verdict. Kavon Green was found guilty on all counts related to the deliberate assault and murder of another person. The court handed down the maximum sentence, with no possibility of parole and no eligibility for sentence reduction. Though the sentence was deemed just, many felt it wasn't enough. The victim's family still lost a daughter. The community remained haunted. Larger questions still loomed. Why hadn't the justice system detected the threat earlier? How could someone with a history of threats and live-streamed dangerous behavior not have been held accountable sooner? The case may be closed, but the wound it left behind remains unhealed. Chastity Strong is gone, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. A mother, a friend, a vital part of her community, taken not by war, not by accident, but by jealousy, control, and the failure of a system that should have protected her. Her 2 children will now grow up carrying a question no one can truly answer. Why couldn't their mother stay alive? Why weren't the warning signs, the violent videos, the public threats, the repeated run-ins with the law enough to stop a tragedy from happening? Jassity's case isn't just a personal tragedy, it's a wake-up call for society. A reminder that control is not love. That we can no longer ignore red flags, whether they appear on social media, in private messages, or in the unease behind someone's eyes. It's also a brutal truth we must confront. Leaving isn't always easy, and sometimes the price of walking away is your life. If you or someone you know is in a relationship that makes you doubt yourself, feel afraid to speak, or sense that you're slowly disappearing, trust that instinct. Speak up, reach out, because silence doesn't save anyone. And calling out a dangerous person on social media sometimes only pushes things past the point of no return. Don't let another story begin with the words, "She warned them, but no one listened." Thank you for staying with us until the very end of this story. If the case of Jassity Strong made you pause and reflect, please share it. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below to let me know where you're watching from. Because somewhere out there may be another Jassity still unheard,